ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zane. I legally am not allowed to drink Duff from The Simpsons until 8 months. Therefore, I am not very tough. And welcome to the Useless Podcast. Today on the Useless Podcast, we have some very, very special guests. They are starting a podcast of their own. At this current time, they actually have started a podcast of their own. I believe they're on episode 3 now.
Yep,
and
episode 2 just published, so we just finished recording episode 3, yep.
At this time of recording, yes. Yep. So, I don't know how to do intros. Vaughn and Bick of Drinking Team Assemble.
Thanks for having us, Zane. We appreciate it.
Yeah. How is your guys' day going so far?
Did we start recording?
Yes, Bick.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we're recording
good.
here, buddy. That's all right. He does this on our show, too. It's,
I've seen the first episode. I haven't seen episode 2 or obviously 3 yet. So I have a bit of an understanding of what goes on here. But
cool. We feel like we've gotten better since the one you've listened to.
I mean, all you can do is go up from there, right?
Once
you do episode 1 and then just keep going and going, all you can do is go up from there.
Yep. I think everybody's episode 1 is a little rough.
Yeah. I remember because here's the thing, right? I'm not even going to the questions. Here's the thing that I think, right? I just now started taking this podcast more seriously. It was like episode 3 or 4 when I really started getting into it. So my first episode, I wouldn't even consider a podcast. It was literally just me and a buddy of mine sitting there in front of a camera talking about whatever the hell we wanted. So, that
was essentially our first one too.
You just sat and did whatever.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, we had a few things in mind that we wanted to talk about.
We threw wet spaghetti at the wall and saw what stuck.
That's exactly it.
Then poor Vaughn had to edit for 6 hours.
Yeah,
make it into something listenable.
Literally, the first episode took me 6 hours, and the sound quality was a little sketchy, but it was still well received. So we're like,
that's
hey.
a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't editing always fun?
Oh yeah, I actually enjoy it. I do.
Oh, you do?
Well, I travel a lot for work, and so I spend a lot of nights in hotels and things, and so I get bored. Because you can't just watch Netflix all the time, all year long, and that kind of stuff. Because you eventually
run out of stuff to watch.
Exactly. And so it gave me something that, it's actually kind of fun, me and my buddies to do, and, kind of change things up for me. So it's, I don't mind it. But yeah, that first episode, it was also, figuring out the editing software and what all the different features did and all of that stuff. So it took quite a while, but episode 2 was notably better, and that dropped last Thursday. And it's actually been doing way better than we thought. So.
Again, that's a good thing. I might devolve into the more technical aspect of that stuff a little later. So
sure.
just keep that in
I'll let you
head.
two talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so Fuzzy that had to leave is our third co-host here. Mm-hmm. He's kind of our resident tech guy. I'm kind of the backup tech guy, and Casey drinks the beer. Yeah.
I'm useless.
Yeah, Bick drinks the beer. So,
I mean, I'm sure there's something you do, right?
I say the things no one else wants to say.
That's accurate.
That's my job.
And we're recording from my garage where we actually shoot in here. So you see our F-bomb beer fund there.
Yes.
Casey also funds that every time he drops an F-bomb on the show. So,
I'm trying to watch it for your show.
We could take away from the F-bomb on my podcast. Here's the thing: I have the power of editing, so I can always just censor it.
Exactly. You can always add that.
I won't be as crucial.
Can I get a beep?
Say something.
Fuck yeah.
Okay,
we'll find out.
One censor.
Exactly. And we're off to a good start.
We're off to a great start.
I mean, you invited me, so
that's true. That's true.
Did. Yeah. So kind of going right into the whole. I guess that's part of the other difference that I think kind of differentiates from the kind of podcast you guys do compared to the podcast that I do, because most of the time it's mostly just me and one other person.
Sure.
So what it turns into, or at least what I do typically, is it's more like an interview type podcast.
Sure.
So I coordinate with the person or people that I'm doing the podcast with. I don't know, whenever we do it, I just kind of what ends up happening is I'll be on like social media,
Yeah.
and then I'll see somebody and like, oh, he seems cool. I wonder if he'll want to be on a podcast.
Oh, so I
And then-
never would have made the list without our podcast.
Definitely not.
mean,
No,
Because I
that's-
do not look interesting on social media.
I mean, I didn't say that.
I did.
didn't say that.
I said it. I said it
He's
about
not
me.
wrong.
No,
I'm
again, I'm not saying I said it. But yeah, and so then typically what my process is once I coordinate like a date or somebody with something with somebody, then I spend about the time leading up to it to come up with like, I do my bit of research on people, ask questions regarding like what they do, like
I'm interested in what he dug up on me.
I mean, so most of it is more so just like the technical stuff regarding your guys' podcast.
Sure.
And the more like introductory type stuff. If that
I'll
makes
just push
sense.
my microphone away.
No.
I'm about as
I'm
useless gets here. I'm the least technical guy in the room.
Well,
I
you might
mean-
be able to grab me a fresh beer.
I got you.
That's So,
Here's the
I do
thing.
that during our podcast too.
yeah.
This is a useless podcast for a reason.
Hey.
So
So I might be a hero.
Yeah, you're in the right place,
I
man.
mean, I'm a hero.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So kind of just going right into that. I'll start from my left-hand side.
Yep.
And I'll ask Vaughn if you could give me a little bit about yourself. Think like back first grade when your teacher would call you up to the front of the room and be like, all right, give me your name and one interesting fact about you.
All right. Well, obviously, my name's Vaughn. I am the group-appointed host of our podcast. They voted me in, but I didn't get to vote. So it was just kind of like, hey, you're the host. So
He won by a landslide still, though.
yeah. It was 2-0 on the vote, and which was the other two guys. So, but yeah, basically, interesting fact about me. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan.
Yes, I will be asking you about that later.
Okay, cool. That is my absolute favorite show.
I will go toe to toe with you on Doctor Who.
Oh,
You
I know.
this.
Yeah, Bick also is. So,
Really?
like that's
Oh yeah.
that's one thing that all three of us friends have in common. As we got to know each other, we've known each other for probably about 9 years now, and that is one thing that we've always had in common. And let's see what else. I don't know. I travel for work. I cover a few states, so I'm on the road all the time, and that's what kind of makes it easier for editing our podcasts and that. And as I previously mentioned, and
He's downplaying himself too. He has one of the greatest podcast voices in history.
I mean, everyone says that.
He
But-
comes across just like with that radio voice, as opposed to me, where it sounds like a Muppet's having sex with a football.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the. I think a lot of people are like this when they hear themselves on a recording.
Oh God!
I don't think I sound like everybody says I do, but
When I hear myself, I don't even understand how other people talk to me. That's how much I can't stand my own voice.
yeah, and
I'm
see,
like,
to me, it doesn't bother me at all. I think your voice is just normal.
well, normal enough.
Okay, yeah, but
That is a good mentality to have, especially if you're going to be continuing to do the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say, just from my personal experience as well, and maybe more so for you, the more you like do the podcast, the more bearable
I'll
it
hate my
becomes.
voice.
I mean,
The more I do it, the more I won't like it.
from
I got you.
You can
Yeah.
take it as that perspective,
Where-
sure.
whereas you're rising, Zane, Casey is going down like further into a hole.
Okay.
So
I'm just
that's
flying downhill.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
There's
kind
no
of reverse
breaks.
psychology sort of thing.
yeah,
Well,
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Cool.
It doesn't work on me.
So then, because we're on the subject of you, Vic,
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
could you tell us your name and give us one interesting fact about you?
No. Go on. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I was getting ready to.
No, it's I'm Casey, known in podcast world as Bick, and an interesting fact about me is that I am exceptionally double jointed, which doesn't work on a podcast.
Yeah, because we can't.
Yeah,
I
it
just-
really
you
doesn't
a-
translate over.
No, but you
audio.
asked,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
that's all I
Yeah.
got.
So you're meaning like by double jointed?
Oh, I can spin my hand in a complete circle. I can almost dislocate most of my limbs. It's a freaky.
It's kind of
talent.
creepy. I'm not gonna.
Could
It
you
is actually-
do, like, because I've seen somebody do this at one point where they like stick their leg above their head. Could you
Oh
do
God,
that?
no! Like younger,
Yeah, maybe
What-
20 years ago.
way younger. Yeah.
We're a little past that flexible point in our age. So.
I've gotten to the point now where I've gotten really good at sucking my gut in to button my pants. I don't know if that helps.
I mean, that's an interesting fact.
Refuse to go up a size again.
I hate shopping too. I get it. I
Damn
get
right.
it. Yeah. So as you will probably notice from this conversation, we get off topic a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The more conversation, the better. The
Yeah.
We're
more
not
it
trying
gives
to
me more
steal.
stuff to.
We're not trying to steal from the host.
No,
We're just
no.
jerks.
This again, reiterating back to my point I made earlier. This is all about you guys. I'm just here.
This is your
as-
worst mistake you've ever made. You should. When I was like, "Are you sure you want me to stay?" and you were like, "Yeah," you should have went back to a no. A
Surprise.
hard no.
Oh no, I did. I did try to kick you out, but then you were like, "Nah, I'll stay.
Oh yeah, because I still had beer left. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got a lot of beer left, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
I noticed. We'll get there.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's gonna get real
We'll get
sloppy.
So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun conversation once we get to that point.
Yeah, you're gonna have a fun edit.
Oh, yeah.
It'll just at this point, it'll just sound like video game dialogue. You know, when you're like hitting A, you just hear the guy.
I know exactly.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yes.
about.
We're with you on that one.
So, reiterating back to the Doctor Who stuff,
Okay.
because I knew you were a Doctor Who fan.
Yep.
Because you looked at my channel and you told me about
Your
it.
screen name
Yeah.
came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Can we say the screen name? Because now I'm curious.
Time Lord Z10.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I came up with that name when I was 10.
Still, respect for 10-year-old Zane. That's, you know.
No,
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm hijacking the show. Who was your favorite Doctor then, Zane?
Ooh.
You know what? I was actually very funny because I was getting ready to ask both of you that.
Okay.
I needed to
we
do.
can go
Okay.
first.
I needed to do a check to make sure we all had the same answer.
Oh, we can go first.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, my answer's not going to be the same as yours.
What is
You on
your
me?
favorite Doctor then? Yeah, you go first.
Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor.
Tom Baker. That's actually not a bad pick.
I know.
That
Trust me,
is
I
not
know.
a bad pick.
See, now I have two favorites because of the old
The
and then the
classic.
2005
Well, if we're
reboot.
doing that,
Yeah.
then
See,
I'm gonna
that's
toss
how
out
I see it.
Eccleston. I'm gonna toss out Eccleston just because
Okay.
I can
Really?
pass as his lookalike.
Okay.
When I put on with my bald head and my giant nose and my decent forehead,
Yeah.
and I put on the leather jacket, I have gone to Comic Cons before with just a leather jacket,
I
and
could see
people
that.
have asked me, "Are you the doc? Are you doing a doctor thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, that's my cosplay.
I can see that, though.
I didn't just walk in with
Yeah.
a leather jacket for no reason.
Right.
Call it good. Yeah, that's
Okay.
hilarious.
I get that.
So then, what about if we're doing classic and modern?
Okay.
Then I'm gonna have to have you answer that. Then
So classic, I agree with Casey. Tom Baker by far. Now, the remakes, I'm a Peter Capaldi fan.
really,
However, David Tennant is like right on his shirt tails.
yeah,
It's
my
like-
man.
it's like neck and neck. But there was just something about Capaldi on how he played the character that was just edgier.
The
You know?
prison episode for Capaldi
Yes.
was one of the greatest.
Where he was in the loop.
Yeah, he's in
Yes.
the time. He's in the
Yes.
loop, repeating
Yes.
over and
That
over.
is an
remember that episode.
And he's
amazing
quoting the
episode.
story about the bird, and then he finally breaks free, and he's like, "I'd say it's one hell of a bird."
Yeah.
yeah,
That
That
episode
was
is amazing.
one of his shining stars, and then it was followed up by another amazing episode of where he just has the standoff with the other Time Lords. He
Correct.
draws the line in the sand, and they're all throwing down their guns because they won't fight him.
Yep.
And what Rassilon is
Mhm.
like, "I told you to kill him," and they're like, "Quite frankly, sir, he told you to get off his planet."
Exactly.
Like that's one of the ballsiest Doctor Who
exactly.
things ever.
It was just such a mic drop.
It was.
I'll
You
agree
know.
with that. Yeah.
And so, like the whole time that I watched through that, I'm just on the edge of my seat.
Mhm.
Now, I loved how Tennant played the character, but like I said, there's just something edgier with
Mhm.
Capaldi. You know,
I will agree with that. I trying to figure out how to put this nicely.
just don't be nice.
Okay, I was not around for the classic Doctor Who.
Oh, more
so
than fair. We're old as
you're
yeah.
literally half our age. That's fine. We get it.
I can't make a great judgment on which Doctor is the best from classic. Although
So Tom Baker
say,
it is.
Yeah, I will say I've heard a lot about Tom Baker, and I've seen a bit of clips from him. So I will probably have to say that is the best judgment.
You put it everything aside about like his acting, all that stuff. Tom Baker himself, he was just a good guy.
Oh yeah. Our podcast has a disclaimer for adult conversations. So
yeah,
that's
I'm trying so hard to be good. I know me.
You're actually doing really good for you.
It's killing me. I feel like I'm breaking out in hives by not cursing.
I will, I guess, not really disclaimer, but I guess just put it out there. Your guys' podcast is a lot more vulgar than mine.
Yes.
That's the right
All
word.
because of me.
So, again, I didn't say that, but
92% because of you.
If we're just going with the curse words,
Oh.
it's me.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
we finally got you to curse on like what we recorded
like
as
episode
week 6.
Yeah, right,
basically.
right.
I mean, you guys do have a giant F-bomb jar that's sitting in front of me as we speak, so
Yeah, it's
who
there
puts
for
the
a
most
reason.
in that?
Why do you think it's sitting
him.
by me?
It's
It's right
it's
next to
almost
me.
been entirely funded by him. I think there's been maybe 3 or 4 that were dropped other than him.
Well, our Mother's Day special, we got my mom to cuss.
Oh, that was great.
That was amazing.
Yeah. When your mom dropped an F-bomb, we were all just like, yeah.
That's hilarious. So, I guess that question isn't really applicable because it is a one-person job. Or I can probably
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, I can try to...
No, you just leave me out. Ask Vaughn. You came ready to interview Vaughn, and then I just decided to stay.
I could probably ask you both. You both could probably answer this just from reiterating the question.
Sure.
I know you both kind of devolved into it as we were talking about the Doctor Who stuff, but could you maybe give a little bit of idea of like what your guys' relationship is like when how long you guys have known each other and
absolutely.
that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so
Jesus, forever.
Yeah, I mean it's 9 years, I think, ish. Maybe
I feel like it's more, but you're probably more
maybe
accurate.
a little more than that.
You're better with time than I am.
But yeah, I mean, it started when I moved to this area. First time I met him was at a Halloween party.
Yeah.
And we chatted a little bit, and then I didn't see him again until I think it was St. Patrick's Day.
It was St. Patrick's Day.
And then we reconnected. We got to talking, and he had an opening on his co-ed beer league softball team, and asked if I played and stuff. And you know, I'm like, well, I'm not great. You know, he's like, well, it's really more of a drinking team, but whatever. And so we started playing softball together, got to be friends. And it's the same way with Fuzzy, who's not here. Met through the same softball team and that. And we just got to be friends ever since then. And, you know, whenever we can hang out, we do. That's just, and the podcast has kind of given us a reason, because, I mean, we're, you know, we've all got kids and jobs and stuff like that. So it's hard to get together. And so it kind of gave us another reason to make time.
A really good
out.
excuse to sit in your garage and have a couple beers.
Exactly.
Seems like a really good excuse to hang out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how it all started. And
then
surprisingly,
you just took it to the next level by actually getting us good equipment and putting an air conditioner in your garage so we can record over the summer.
Oh, that's a game changer. Yeah,
That's yeah, I'm definitely not swamp nutting it today.
It's
nice.
actually quite comfortable in here. I'm not gonna. So
it is.
But yeah, I mean that's basically it. It just we found out we had a ton in common, and we just gotten to be best friends. So
it was a good kind of like kind of like you said, you guys had a lot in common, so there was a really good chemistry. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really good. If you think of it like so, the third member of our podcast is kind of our straight guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy for me and Vaughn to just bounce jokes off of him between the two of us. And this is not while we're recording the podcast. This is just us in life.
Oh, in general.
And the third guy that's not here today, he's really good at just like taking a joke and trying to crack it back. But the second he does, one of us jumps on him like a piranha and turns his own joke against him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Fuzz. Like if you listen, I assume you're going to listen to this because your friends are on it. If you don't, you're kind of an ass. But as you personally, Fuzz, have asked all your friends to listen to your own podcast, you should at least listen to this one. But I mean, I think that's like a big central, like within the last like 3 or 4 years. Like me and you grew close as friends before that, but I think that's for some reason, like the element of the three of us is such a weird dynamic of having the straight guy that we can just like bounce jokes off of, mess with, have some beers, have fun, go watch you at karaoke.
Yeah.
And then like, I'll get up and do something dumb.
Right.
Because that's what I am. And then eventually we get Kyle like worked up enough that he wants to participate. And then that gives us more material down the road.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I know I'm coming off like I'm bullying, but it's not that. It's like actually, it's true 3 good friends that know how to treat each other.
Yeah.
And we know, like, we've given each other, like, between me and Vaughn, we'll be messing with each other and messing with him. And there's a certain point where, like, one of us thinks we took it too far and we'll, like, shoot the look.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, time to back off. I took it a little too far that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, that's how it grew, in my opinion, is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that and not to name any names or divulge into anything, but we also lost a really close friend of ours.
Right.
And I feel like that glued us together and it really cemented our podcast by itself.
Yeah.
Which is like our sign off, be good to your bros.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the thing is we always have each other's backs. And that's the biggest thing. Like if something comes up and one of us needs the other guys, we're there.
Oh yeah.
And that's a huge thing for us. And we think that everybody should have friendships like that. And so it's kind of a tagline on our show when we sign off is just be good to your bros.
Because if you're not looking out for your actual friends, like I feel like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
in life,
then that's not a good kind of relationship to have.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's just, over time we've just gotten to be more like, brothers than friends, and
that's for damn sure. At least, especially between me and you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Our whole dynamic has changed over the last like 9 to 10 years, whatever it is. We started out like just buddies and sending a meme every now and then to going and having a beer to I would actually be physically ill if for some reason me and you didn't get to hang out at least once a month. Right. Like I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, and that's why we do this. So, gives us a reason to hang out. So
yeah, that's a neat little like.
You got me a little teared up again. That was kind of sweet.
Well, it's like and always.
Did you expect to be Did you expect tears to be going down your face in this podcast?
No, I mean honestly, that was probably the most sincere thing I've ever heard him say.
No, it's just the truth. Like when we lost our friend, he was one of those people that would just like check up on everybody all the time. Yeah, exactly. I feel like both me and you felt like we had to fill that void.
I think you're right. I do.
When we both did it, it kind of cemented our situation of becoming way better friends. And I already considered you a best friend at the time. Right. I think that's when it went from best friends to bros.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right, because that was what our friend did. He almost had like a sixth sense of
he knew when somebody needed to be checked up on. It was so weird how he did it.
Yeah, his timing was always just immaculate.
I would be sitting there ready to just like kick a dog and punch a freaking nun because I was having such a bad day. And I would get a text.
I mean, let's be
how
real.
You doing?
You'd punch a nun anyway.
Well, they deserve it. Walking around in that outfit.
Yeah.
No, but he would send that text and be like, how you doing? Do you need to go get a beer? And you'd be like, shit, how did you know? Right. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was always just kind of out of the blue. And you're just like, actually, yeah, I do need to hang out with somebody right now and, get some stuff off my chest. So, and yeah, so that's kind of our story.
Definitely, at least everybody listening and us three have definitely experienced that once and more than once, where it's you go through something and you think maybe I just need this time to kind of be away from everything and have
everybody
that space.
Needs that.
But then you either get that message, you get that phone call from the friend, and they're like, hey, let's go do something, or let's hang out or something like that.
You hit that dark headspace.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
And out of nowhere, somebody's just like, hey, how are you been? You're like, I'm doing shitty and I don't know why I'm doing shitty and I don't want to be doing shitty anymore. And they're like, well, let's hang out because you clearly need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 100% you've done that for me more than multiple times.
Oh, yeah. And I'm happy to. I mean, that's what we do.
I'm actually, like, out of the friendship, I'm probably the lesser of the friend. because I try my best, but usually it's just like he's like, I'm having a bad day, and I'm like, penis joke. Hope I made you laugh.
But
I mean,
they're still appreciated.
Yeah. It's probably better to check up on somebody like that when you know they're going through something, rather than knowing and just being like, oh, they'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even if like it's just a simple, hey, how you doing? Good.
Right.
Great to hear. It's like it's you're still checking in, and that's probably the thing that they appreciate
more important
most.
than a lot of people understand.
Yes,
Oh, absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah. And the older you get, the more you realize that.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Be good to your bros.
Be good. Be good to your bros.
See, you couldn't help it. It's catchy.
Exactly.
I might steal that from you guys.
Go for it.
I don't know how much money you want.
Spread
for
it.
that,
No,
but-
spread it.
I mean, I think there's a penny on the table.
Although
You
they
slide that
did,
over.
they did ask one of the people asking us for our dumbass shirts.
Oh yeah.
One person asked me for a Be Good to Your Bro shirt,
Nice.
and I was like, do we do it on our regular shirt and put it on the back, or like anyway, sorry,
could
your
put
podcast, and I keep
No,
talking about
go
ours.
ahead,
Go
go
for it.
ahead.
And he's
It's all about you
brainstorming
guys.
merch.
brainstorming stuff to sell on our podcast. You know me. So I was trying to make a buck, brother.
I do. I get it. Got that hustle going. So
I mean, to be fair, kind of siding with you a little bit. The entire point of me interviewing you both is to give you guys a bit of like exposure.
Oh
So-
yeah.
So
Oh, and for sure. And I mean, obviously, I'm going to put a link to this on our social media and stuff too, to get people to listen to your show.
yeah,
So-
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Any exposure. It's a win-win
doesn't?
kind of deal.
If you're sitting in a garage on a microphone, you obviously need people to help you out.
Yeah, you're trying to do something. I mean,
we're not
that's,
sitting in a studio somewhere.
yeah, so I can listen to myself talk in the shower.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know, sometimes I just need something to listen to on the radio on the drive home from work, and that music isn't enough. I just gotta listen to myself talk.
Well, and I think that's why podcasts are great, because I mean, I cover most of Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota for my job, so I drive all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love music, I got to change it up sometimes, because I'm on the road so much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, when I got into podcasts, and then it's like, okay, this is actually kind of a cool thing. So, I mean, that's why we do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So, kind of relating to your guys' podcast, just for anybody who hasn't seen your guys' podcast yet,
Sure.
what exactly can people expect to see on the podcast?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
What can you run me through a daily episode?
So, yeah.
I'm gonna let you handle this one.
Yeah, because I'm gonna
'Cause I
spell
will
it out a lot more
lose it.
politely than Vic will.
Okay.
So yeah, and I mean it is for audiences over 18, because there's some cussing, and some of the topics we talk about are not really youth friendly and that, but any adults that have been in these situations will enjoy it.
Mhm.
We do have some recurring segments every week. So Fuzzy, that's not here, he is our guy. You can see some of these cans here that he doesn't just drink your normal beers and stuff. He gets all of these weird microbrew, the strangest stuff ever.
Shit is the word he's going for. It's terrible.
I mean, some of it. Well, there's been some that we've liked.
I had one that I liked.
Yeah, so we have a segment that's called Fuzzy's Weird Beers, where he brings it in every week, and we do a taste test and give our review on it. Then we pick different topics that we talk about every week. We also review movies that we have not seen yet. So
That is actually growing to become one of my favorites.
it is so we'll see the trailer,
Okay.
and
I
then
was going to ask.
Yeah. and then we give our opinions and kind of views on what we think the movie will be, and whether we'll like it or not, why or why not. Obviously we get more in depth than that.
Mhm.
Bick over here has got a segment called Bick's Basement, because
I just talk about what pissed me off.
yeah, basically it's usually a pretty funny rant that we all chime in on. But basically the thing is,
Well, and don't sell yourself short.
what?
You carry the bulk of it because Vaughn will just pick up something that he thinks funny, and in Vaughn's section of the show, he'll pick up something that he thinks funny or weird or an oddity, and then he'll throw it out there, and we will end up talking about like obscure whatever that he brings up for forever.
Oh yeah.
And it's probably the most heavily edited portion of our deal because we get so sidetracked.
Yeah, we get off topic. I mean, we go off on tangents and stuff. It really, we just want it to feel like people are hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, that's the biggest feedback that we've got is people are going,
I feel like I'm sitting in the garage with you, hanging out with my buddies.
Yeah, and that's what we want. And we want them to feel like they're hanging out with us. They're having a few laughs. Just make their day better, you know? And so that's just really it, is we try to, you know, bring some funny and bring some, you know, interesting things to people that they haven't heard or that kind of a thing while we, you know, have a few cold ones.
I just want, I'm big on laughs.
Oh, absolutely.
I just want,
laughter is the best form of medicine.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I want one person out there that's driving home, having a bad day, to put on our little podcast and just have a giggle. Yeah. It doesn't have to change their whole day. I'm not saying like I'm a miracle worker, but just give somebody a laugh. Yeah. That's all I'm going for.
I mean, we didn't start this for, you know, chasing fame and fortune or whatever. We're like,
God, no.
We're like, literally, if we have 5 people that listen and they think it's funny, we won. That's it, you know? And it's been way more popular than we ever thought it would be. Especially just, you know, only having 2 episodes published. So
it's mostly me.
Recording.
As of this
yes,
recording.
at the time of this recording.
And that's like, I'm not trying to be that, but it's mostly me. I'm the funny one. I'm kidding. If you listeners could see the look you just shot me.
You cut me deep, bro. You cut me deep.
I was kidding.
I swear to you, I could see fire.
There was
Vaughn's
fire
eyes right there.
Hey, so with that, you want to grab me a freshie? Yeah, my beer's almost gone.
Actually, I will.
Thanks, bro.
I'll take that to kind of piggyback off of what Big said there, and more about the whole, because that's always been my mentality, kind of relating back to the deep conversation we had earlier about like checking in on people and stuff like that. My main takeaway on just not even like the videos I make and publish and stuff, it's just
I didn't know you made videos too.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's all over the channel.
Is that really?
I feel like we need a rainbow.
Okay, I need to go back to your channel. I apologize.
It's okay. That's okay.
I really feel bad about that now.
No, you're good. You're good. A lot of people who I get on the podcast don't really know about that side of it. They just see it as, oh, someone's wanting to interview me. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, I listened to your podcast and stuff while I was driving, but I guess I didn't scroll through, you know, mainly because I was driving.
Yeah, I was going to say, those videos might not be the best thing to watch while you're driving.
Yeah, that's probably not advised. Just end up in a ditch, and I'm like, hey, it was a great video.
Amateurs.
Yeah.
Piggying back of what you said, because my main mentality is just like, just trying to make sure that, like, you know, my friends or other people that I'm talking to, you know, I'm not trying to make their day a whole lot better or anything like that. It's just to give you something to laugh and smile about at the moment while
you're not trying to get the mountain out of their way. You're trying to move a stick.
Exactly.
So they don't trip.
Exactly. Yes.
And I mean, honestly, many times that's huge for people.
It is for me.
Yeah.
Which is why I respect you so much, bro.
I love how you say that. You look him in the eyes, and Vaughn's just sitting there.
He's sitting over there checking his phone.
I'm sorry, like all of a sudden my phone just started blowing up, and I'm like, oh god, is there like an emergency or something? So I just
Did you just get all the 30 texts that happened after we got done recording ours?
Apparently.
Yeah, because some of those are from me, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I've been answering them.
them.
I'm like, I've got like 36 messages. I'm like, oh my god, what's happening?
I bet you some of those are from me, from trying to figure out how to get here.
More than fair.
You know, your garage was really hard to get open.
Well, yeah, that it is sometimes.
At least you were polite and not slamming on the door to try to get in.
No, I mean, when I walked in, you guys, not to spoil too much.
No, go ahead.
But you guys were in the middle of recording an episode of your own. Yeah. So I didn't want to walk in there, slam the door open, and be like,
and
hey,
I appreciate that.
Here.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, that's what editing's for. So, you know what? It's
So what you're telling me is I could have done that.
You could have. Yeah.
I don't know if we'd be sitting here doing this afterwards, but
I mean,
Kick the door open and be like, ballers here, boys, let's go.
Yeah, right? He's like, what's up now?
I'd be like, well, that's awkward.
Let me show you boys how this thing's really done. That's
So what episode are you on your show?
so right now for this episode, you guys would be number 6.
okay.
I
Nice.
believe
You're
if you
way
don't
ahead of
mind
us.
me trailing off. Well, because I've also been doing it. Like I stated earlier, I've been doing this for about 4-ish years, but the first like 2 I didn't take seriously at all. Again, it was literally just me and one extra person just sitting in front of a webcam talking
Sure,
about
more
whatever
than
the hell
fair.
we wanted.
Oh, yeah.
More than fair.
So like my first episode is just us it's just me and a buddy of mine whose name I forget. I apologize, but I'm sure he'll snap at me when this comes out. But
That's classic.
No, I had to move the mic away because that's something I would have said.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Like, you know, me and my good
vibe
friend,
and energy is rubbing off on me already.
me and my good friend, what's his name?
Yeah.
You know, from he wore the shirt.
You know, hairy guy with the mole. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
It's like the one in Practical Jokers section. I don't know if you guys watch that
Oh, yeah.
show.
I love that.
But
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's the one where they're like trying to describe.
Yeah, they're
like,
trying
sitting
to
in front of a
describe-
passenger. Yeah, they have the 3 guys in the back with signs.
Yeah.
Being like,
Oh, that's
"Describe
right.
this."
We met
Yeah.
at P. Diddy's pool party. You peed
Yes.
in the pool.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, did they just tell somebody he peed in P. Diddy's pool?
Right? P. Diddy's about to be pissed.
Literally.
Great. This is a fun time. I'll just move on to the next
Yeah.
question.
I feel
So-
like that's a great time to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. That was going nowhere but south.
That's what a lot of again, not to crap on my like stuff, but it's what a lot of it turns into, because what would happen is I would ask somebody a question,
Oh yeah.
and then they would sit there for a good like 3 minutes, like
Oh yikes.
Oh,
yeah. So then I'd
That's
have to
the magic of editing.
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
Oh,
3
but
minutes
this
turned
time you
into
have
nothing.
talkers with you.
yeah. So it's really good to
Heavy chatty Cathy's.
Yes.
But the mics, I
Yeah,
got you.
we're never sparing words.
You're not
You're
gonna you're not gonna edit out silence with us. You're gonna edit out my stupidity. There's a big difference.
it's good filler.
There you go.
You know, like kind of like the video game stuff, where like, you know, like loading screens.
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just something
Yes.
to-
Yes.
I see the little thing spinning right in front of my eyes.
Yes. That's usually my brain going, I can't believe he just said that. That's
there's a meme name for that, where it's like the edits you see where people have like the internet loading screen above their heads.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna pick you
And
back
then
up.
Internet Explorer comes in like 5 hours later. Same thing.
You mean Microsoft Edge?
Yeah, basically.
Is that the same thing, or is
Formerly known as, yes,
Okay,
Internet
okay.
Explorer, yes.
that okay?
Yes. Sorry.
I am that old to know what Internet
Yes,
Explorer
so
is.
yeah, Bick and I are in our early 40s. So,
Hmm.
you know, I remember when the internet went public and we had dial up, and, you know, when I was in school, we had Netscape Navigator, which was the only browser available at the time.
You poor soul.
Oh God.
It was like, oh.
And
it
then
was-
what? Like Firefox was a couple years later.
That was a ways later, actually.
Was it really? See,
Yeah.
I was never the techie guy back in the day.
You're
Still not.
That's
You're right. Still not.
That's okay. Anyway,
Kind of talking about, that's actually a good segue into the next question I have about like the tech stuff.
sure.
So could you maybe describe like again, for the audio listeners and for maybe new people who haven't seen or heard your podcast yet, and I know
Yeah.
we kind of briefly mentioned it while we were talking, but maybe an idea of like what your guys' setup is. I know that probably would have been a better question for Fuzzy. Yeah, because
No, I mean, I
he's-
can field that.
Oh, he's got it.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
you said that you're in rank of like tech stuff.
Yeah.
You said you're like number 2.
Yeah.
So,
I'll feel
See-
free to not talk.
Yeah, see, I mean, the reason Fuzzy's like our main tech guy, he's an IT guy by profession. And he actually also runs a charity organization that does a lot of public events, so they've had a lot of sound setups and things like that. So he's had more experience with it.
right.
Now, I, back in college, dealt with sound stuff, which obviously has changed a lot in the last, 20 years or whatever it's been. And, but I used to do some of that stuff back then, and my profession now is working on medical equipment, so I'm still technical, but it's a very different avenue. But for the recordings and that, basically, I mean, how specific do you want me to get on, like the equipment we use, or
as
like, the
specific
software?
as you can get?
Okay.
Whatever comes to your mind.
So basically, we, right now we're recording on a Zoom recorder that can accommodate up to 4 mics with XLR connections, and it just carries an SD card in it. Yeah, thanks, Mick. Yeah, he's done. Just drink your beer and shut up. So, but basically, when this is done recording, and this is actually great because we can record here, we can do remote recordings with it, wherever we're at. I actually have a couple different mics. These are more studio mics that we've got here, but I've got a couple SM58s over there that have built-in filters and that for more remote recording when we're out and about, which we're going to add to our show later on. Like, I'm going to Nashville next weekend, and I'm going to try and do a remote from there. Bick's going to Vegas soon. Gonna do something from there.
Work trip.
Yeah, exactly. And mine is,
I don't get to go to Vegas for a fun trip, but
yeah,
it's a work
and I
trip.
mean, mine's a work trip too, but we do have some free time.
Yeah,
so
I got
I'm
free.
gonna,
Obviously,
yeah.
I'm gonna hit a blackjack table.
Well, yeah, exactly. But so basically, when we finish recording, we take the SD card, put it in my laptop, load it up, and the name of the software I use is escaping me, but then we load it onto our sound editing software. It's I want to say it's.
Isn't it like an Adobe product, you think?
No, it's Wave something.
You sent it to me.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank right now. But anyway, if you Google it, it's in the. If you Google, best podcast software or whatever, it's in the top 10 list.
Okay.
I will. In full credit, there was, I think it was the first episode.
Yep.
I was off on one of my rants, and the only, like, you're going to be preview, your audience is going to be preview to a secret nobody else knows. I was off on one of my rants. Vaughn clips it.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle of a sentence.
Yep.
And then towards the end of the rant, he clips me back in, and you can't tell that he cut me. Like, my sentence just flows fluidly. The only people that knew it
that was actually on episode 2. Yep.
Was it episode 2? And Fuzzy didn't even catch that it had happened until I pointed it out. I was like, he actually took one of my full rants, cut the whole rant out, and I'm just like, yeah, so how's your day going? And it sounds seamless. Like, I just roboted it up when I was talking. Like, whatever he uses is really good.
Yeah, and I can show you after the show. But like I said,
I would be interested to see that.
Well, I know, I understand that, yeah. But like I said, if you Google, best podcast editing software and stuff, it's on the top 10 list that comes up on the first page of the stuff. And because I was like, if we're gonna do this, I want to do it right. Now, I did try out an Adobe product first, but it was way overkill.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just way more than we ever needed. There was just too much to it. It was like,
you gotta really because I edit my other videos and stuff with using Adobe Premiere.
Yeah.
And that stuff is very
I mean,
you have to know what
really
you're doing.
made for pros.
Yeah.
And we're not sound engineers. So I wanted something that, had everything that we needed, but was also user friendly. Like
easy to understand. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I have a basic understanding of it from, college and stuff like that. So I wasn't a complete layman, but I'm obviously not a professional sound engineer by any means either. So I found this one that we tried out, and it just makes it seamless. And because I mean, like I said, the first episode took me about 6 hours because I was learning everything and all of that stuff. Episode 2, I think it took me an hour and a half. So it really was not terrible. It goes. Yeah, exactly. So, but then
spoiler alert, he's got his hands full for the Mother's Day episode.
Oh Lord, that one went off the rails.
We had extra people sharing mics, like an editor's worst nightmare.
Yeah, I'm just, as an editor myself, I'm just picturing that in my head right now.
It's gonna take me a while, but it's so gonna be worth it. We got some great stuff on it, but
there's always a big, sorry not to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
There's always a big satisfaction of that big projects where you're like, this is gonna take me so long to do, and then you do it and you see the finished product,
and then it's so satisfying.
Yeah. especially with all like, because again, you guys are saying that like you're getting a lot of like good feedback and stuff from it. So I'm sure
Yeah,
that
exactly.
helps out a lot.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And so basically, after I get it edited, I subscribe to a hosting site, and the one that I use specifically is Buzzsprout,
Yes.
which is a great site. I mean, they really do a lot of the work for you. And
We need to give them a shout out on our podcast too.
oh, we will.
I'm just saying, like,
Well, and I mean, we post their stuff all the time.
oh, you're right.
So I mean, you know, they kind of do, but yeah, we'll give them a formal shout out on the next episode.
No, but I've heard
But
our edit, your tweaks,
yeah.
and then I've heard our edit, your tweaks, and after they've put it out.
Oh yeah,
and
because
it's like,
there's a
God, I sound so much better.
yeah, there's a thing on there that it's called like Magic Mastery or whatever. After I edit it and I upload it, it goes through kind of a scrubber on their site and just makes it sound even better.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is amazing. You know, and I mean, it's like $20 a month or something like that for, you know, to do this.
What do you usually use?
I am not, again, as high tech as that because
Well,
again,
you don't have a fuzzy like we do.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a
because
one-man
typically-
band.
Yeah. I would have to be my own fuzzy.
Have done that.
It's hard. But
It's hard for Fuzzy too.
I would imagine so. But again, because I also just started taking this podcast seriously, most of what I upload on is I just upload the same as my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Where all my other like videos are. I've thought about and contemplated making like a separate channel for it.
Sure.
I've also like thought of the idea of doing a more traditional type podcast.
Yep.
Again, kind of similar to what you guys do, where it's the, you know, you talk about stuff, have like the segments,
Yeah.
like your typical podcast stuff.
Yeah.
I would just
for entertainment purposes.
yeah. But the thing is it would be difficult to do with one person. So
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just need to.
You need guests all the time and that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is again part of the reason why the Useless Podcast exists, because it's me and usually one other person, which I'm interviewing.
Yeah.
And so if I were to make another one, it would be, you know, I would have someone there constantly to like, you know, work off of and talk to and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
yeah, and I mean
typically where my stuff
the
goes.
cool thing, I mean, for anybody that has a podcast or is thinking about a podcast, I would definitely recommend a hosting site, just because, you know, from a beginning standpoint, you know, you want to get your stuff out there, right? You want to post it, and it does a lot of that for you, and it has directories of all of the streaming apps and all of that stuff. And, you know, you do have to click on some of the links and go through a few steps to be approved on all of these sites. But then once you're approved on all of them, you just upload to your host site, you schedule when you want it to release, and then it automatically pushes it out at that time to all of those sites. And so we are now, I mean, literally entering week 3. We're on every streaming app that there is. I mean,
Really?
Apple, Spotify, SiriusXM, you name it, Amazon Music, we're everywhere.
That's pretty good.
And my host site does it. All I have to do is upload it there, schedule when the release is.
So they're like your promoters essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it saves me so much work, because otherwise I would have to individually go to all of these places.
Upload this here,
Yeah.
upload this here. Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
we're literally on, I think, 28 streaming apps.
Really.
Yeah.
There's a lot I've never even heard of. And
Yeah,
I'm a
'cause there's
podcast.
some, I didn't even realize that Apple has like 5 subsidiary sites that also came along with it. Spotify has some. The one that goes along with SiriusXM has some. You know,
Right.
so they all come along. It saves me a ton of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I would probably give up if I had to do that every week. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because it's a lot.
it's daunting. Yeah, you know, and keeping up with, you know, social media and emails and messages and all of that stuff. It's like, you know, if you don't have something to help you out, it's daunting.
I
So
will agree with that.
so really that's the process.
It's a lengthy process, but it works.
Yeah, it does.
Again, you guys have gotten great feedback from what I've heard.
Yeah,
I've taken a listen to episode 1. So far, I haven't listened to episode 2 yet. And again,
Yeah,
It's not loaded,
admittedly,
it's not
episode 2 is by far better.
yeah.
Sound quality, whole 9 yards.
So kind of relating to episode 1, because this episode 1 was kind of like your first, your dipping your toes in the pool kind of esque thing with starting the podcast.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
So
you both could probably answer this.
Yeah, Vic, you want to start with your feedback on it?
I mean, that's a very interesting question.
I think hard about my questions.
No, it is a good question. We kind of, God, I don't know how to put this without making me sound lazy as hell, but I am lazy as hell.
Just try your best.
It's not a lot of work for me. I just show up. Vaughn's like, hey, move the table. I move the table. Vaughn's like, hey, do this, do that. Then the other two tech people handle everything. So all I got to do is sit in front of a microphone and start talking. And
like a janitor.
Yeah, basically. Like, I just sit down and start talking. And after we recorded the very first episode, before we recorded episode 2, it was just weird. We had this complete understanding and feeling between the three of us, like, that was something. And then we did episode 2, and it was like, "Ooh, this is momentum. We're doing good here."
Yeah.
The sparks fly.
Yeah, the sparks are flying, and then like that just blossomed into basically me and Vaughn just throwing ideas back and forth for different great, like the Mother's Day special, the Father's Day special, on-site interviews, stuff like that. There's just like it without Fuzz reeling us back in. I feel like me and you, our crazy idea is like we'd be selling our cars to be able to afford the extra shit we need to do them.
Fuzzy's kind of our grounding rod. You know, when Casey said he's the straight one, that means like he's a little quieter, he's more reserved, but he takes everything that we say and kind of puts it through a rational filter.
Yeah, he humanizes our explosive ideas.
Exactly. And he's kind of our center.
Although he's the one that's pushing us towards video a lot faster than me and you are pushing towards video.
True.
But I think that's just because he already owns the equipment.
Exactly. He already had the video equipment, so that makes sense.
You guys are attempting video?
No.
No?
Not yet.
Not yet. But eventually we will be, live recording our recording sessions, and we might be doing.
I think our big push for the first time we use video, I think, is like to do a live stream.
Yes.
On like a Facebooky, YouTubey live stream type thing.
Correct.
And then give it a while before we ever attempt it again.
Yeah.
Is my opinion on it.
Because honestly, it's grown faster sooner than we ever expected. So we're still kind of in a catch-up stage, because like we didn't think we'd be where we're at this soon. And so we're still trying to slowly introduce things.
Well, and
but yet
we're getting asked like, hey, where do we mail you guys beers? So
I literally had to go get a P.O. box this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you guys have t-shirts for sale? No, we don't even have t-shirts for us that have our own podcast on it.
And so then I had to get our Iowa sales tax
or the
license.
koozies.
And,
I mean, we're heavily drinking related. I've been asked 3 different times, do you guys got a koozie? No, we don't. We don't. I already told you yesterday I don't have a shirt. Why would I have a koozie already?
Yeah, but to bring it back, approaching episode 1, we had a lot of discussions between the 3 of us, like, okay, what do we want to do? What do we not want to have on the show? Like all of this stuff. Like for one, we'll never talk sports. Okay, we love sports, but there's so many,
especially Fuzz.
Yes, but there's so many people out there that do it. Like they don't need another one.
Differentiation.
Exactly.
And D&D.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there was a lot of people that were like, so is this a D&D thing?
Yeah, because all 3 of us play D&D.
And we're huge geeks.
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's a million D&D podcasts out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's like a crap ton of those.
Yeah, so we're like, as much as we love those things, we don't need to have it on our show, because there's enough.
We don't need extra help being idiots anyway.
No, we do that just fine on our own.
We're really good at it.
So, yeah. But, so, I mean, really, it was a lot of brainstorming on, what do we want? What don't we want? That kind of thing. And then when episode 1 hit, we all came to the table. It's just like, hey, you pick your topic today. You pick your topic today. We all came to the table with one. And like Casey said earlier, we just kind of threw spaghetti at the wall and tried to see what stuck. And
I think the funniest thing we did was Fuzz didn't realize, besides the beers, he was going to have another section of the show.
Right.
And then we just threw it, like, all right, it's your turn. What are you doing? And he's like, what?
Yeah. And then
I did the beer. I thought that was my thing.
Yeah. And then he pulled out the reviewing movies we haven't seen, and people have really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled that out on the fly. Like, he
Yeah,
grabbed
that
his
was
thing.
Exactly. Like, well, and you'll hear him on episode 1. Bick literally says, I didn't know that's what we're doing here. You know, so that's.
I didn't.
No, and it just.
That's impressive.
I always knew my section was going to be a rage section.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, and we all agreed that that's the guy I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to punch you in a bar, but I'm the guy that has the temper out of the three of us. So it's like, and this was going to be my vent.
Mine is usually, I'm on the road. I travel so much and stuff. So it's usually like weird stuff that I run into.
Oh, God, you got some good ones coming up.
Yeah. There is. But it's also stuff that people can relate to. So, I mean, that's really what it was. It was just a lot of, okay, well, we know what we don't want to do. I
think that was the biggest portion.
Yeah. That was really a lot of the discussion.
Like, we don't want to do politics. We don't want to do sports.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are both very
bugaboos. We don't want to do religion. We don't want to do anything people can take it offensive, like sexually, racially.
We're here to try and get some people to laugh. We don't want to be the dime a dozen, like everybody does this same thing, because, we all watched the Super Bowl. We know what happened. Mm-hmm. We don't need to also talk about that.
And talk about it over and over.
Exactly.
And
over.
Exactly. So
I understand that.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm not saying this to like dismiss what all you guys said.
No,
but
sure.
It is good to have that originality. I agree, and it's great that you guys are doing that. At the same time, it is difficult to find that originality.
Oh, yes.
God.
No matter what you do or how you do it, you're gonna get somebody who's like, "Hey, I've seen that before."
No,
or, hey,
listen.
That sounds
So
like this guy does.
Here's another thing that our listeners don't know about yet, but we are going to add down the road. Inevitably, there are going to be people that don't like us.
Oh, you're always going to get that.
Yes, I forgot.
You are always going to get that.
And
I'm so ready for this.
So eventually, we're going to get some bad comments and some trolls and stuff on our social media.
I already know what you're doing.
We are actually going to add a segment when this happens that I'm going to call Keyboard Warriors. And we're going to share our favorite haters on our show.
That's going to be hilarious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I actually look forward to it.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, this is the first time we've actually mentioned it on any sort of recording or anything like that.
I feel special. I'm getting behind the scenes.
Exactly.
You did. You just got the big behind this. I don't even know that me and you have shared that with Fuzzy yet.
We might not have. I know we've talked about it.
I've known that before the third host of the podcast.
I don't know if Fuzzy knows yet. I was thinking about. I think that was just a me and you
thing. It's gonna be hilarious when he listens to this, hears that, and goes, "Wait, what?"
Oh, he'll be on board with that. Yeah, he hates keyboard warriors too.
It's just inevitable. Mm-hmm. I mean, the internet gave everybody a voice. And
have you heard of Twitter?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. We're on Twitter. Yeah, and so the more we get out there, it's gonna happen.
No matter what you do.
And so we're like, you know what? We're gonna have fun with it.
I want to take our first hater and just make him a super fan. I want to fucking bick it up on that one. I want to go after him, buy him chocolates and beer. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes to make him the
number one. Like, I don't know where we're going with this one. But I'm going to make this guy our super fan.
Yeah.
And I already know it's going to be a dude, and he's going to complain about me drinking Bud Light or something silly.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be something.
And I'm going to jump all over it.
Yeah. But, so there's a little sneak peek of things to come.
I like that. I like it. It sounds like you guys got a lot of good ideas and good, kind of picking back off of the originality thing. I think you guys are definitely doing a good job of the originality aspect and like keeping yourselves away from like the usual traditional podcasts. You guys are putting your own spin on it.
And the only real advantage we have over you is that there's three of us to fire ideas back and forth.
Exactly.
And once you get a good brainstorming sesh going with three idiots, you can actually equal the brain of a normal person.
Yes.
And that's where I think we get to most of the time. We're so close.
Yeah. We're like 80% of a brain.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say a good 80.
D's get degrees.
Exactly.
Passing.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, I deal with medical equipment, and that's like the big joke that goes around. It's like, what do you call the doctor that graduated last in their class?
Doctor.
Yeah. Because they still graduated.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna try to word this, because the whole, I guess, brand
Sure.
is that the name is Drinking Team Assemble, and the
Yeah.
whole like icon picture
Right.
is like the Batman symbol with the
Yep.
the beer. What exactly was the process?
But legally and purposefully different for
yes,
for lawsuit
yes.
purposes.
You're right.
Huh?
Legally different for lawsuit purposes than the
Well,
Batman
Warner
symbol.
Brothers coming after.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
not a Batman symbol.
It's clearly
No,
not.
because honestly, the logo is the actual Des Moines downtown skyline. If you
Really?
look at it, yeah. So it's the MLK Bridge, the Capitol Building, the Rouen Building, like all of that stuff. So look at it again, and it's the Des Moines skyline, which makes it authentic.
And just in
And then-
case, legally different enough from that too.
Listen,
It's
legally,
a joke.
No,
Go.
yeah, legally we have that logo trademark.
I know we do.
Yeah, but so here's how it started.
Yes.
We would try to make time and hang out and get together, all three of us and stuff. But up until recently, now that our kids are older and stuff like that, it's a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
But previously it would be so hard to get all of our schedules to mix at the same time and hang out. And I think it was Bick that said it the first time. But whenever we would get our schedules to click, he'd send a message out and go, "Drinking Team Assemble." And it was just like this dumb thing that we would text each other when we could actually get together.
I think it was you.
Was it me?
I'm pretty sure it was you.
It might have been me. I don't know. I don't remember when it
No,
started.
and the only reason I say that is because I know it wasn't me and I know it wasn't Fuzz.
Okay.
And then the first time it was sent,
Well,
it just
then-
caught on so hard.
Yeah, and so then every time we could get together, someone would text "Drinking Team Assemble."
I mean, if I go back far enough, I could find it. But
Yeah.
ooh.
And so then
Sounds
when
like a
we
big game of Blue's Clues.
yeah, and so then when we started talking about the podcast and stuff, we're like, what are we going to call it? And I'm like, Drinking Team Assemble. It's just our stupid little thing.
And not a single argument.
No, it was just like instantly everyone was just like, yes, that is it.
I mean, that
And
just
then-
sounds on brand.
Yeah.
And then we found out nobody else owned the rights to it. And we were like,
And we're
"Oh,
like,
double yes.
yes. And we're like, get it. And I mean, so I even have social media and stuff that we're not on yet. Well, I mean, we're on there because I reserved the name and everything, like Snapchat and TikTok and all of that, just in case we eventually spread to that. So I have accounts under all that name.
And we don't want to turn into like those pages that you see where it's like, no, the real Drinking Team Assemble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And then a close friend of all three of ours designed the logo for us.
Oh, yeah.
And
She's awesome.
yeah, the first one that she sent, was kind of like a three people cheersing beer and stuff. And we're like, yeah, we kind of like it, but it was animated. And we're like, well, maybe if we could do like a real photo like that. And then she sent the one that we have. And all three of us just went, yes, that is it.
It's perfect.
Yeah. And that's...
No, I was the ass. I wanted to change like one color.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But besides that, everything was perfect. And
Yeah.
we went with it.
Yeah, and we were just like, yeah. And I mean, literally everybody that we show it to or whatever, they're like, hey, we love your logo. So,
You got it on a t-shirt?
yeah. So big shout out to Kelsey, who designed our logo. So
We should
Congratulations.
shout out to her on our own podcast. I don't think we ever have.
we haven't, but here's the first one. We'll do a second one on ours. So,
Yeah, you get another sneak peek.
yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Coming
Man, I
soon.
feel
Yeah,
so special.
nobody else knew that our friend Kelsey designed our logo until now. So there you go.
It's kind of the whole thing, like the charm of my podcast.
Yeah.
Is that like the name is very misleading because it's a useless podcast.
Oh, I think it's great.
But yeah, the name, it's supposed to be funny, but it's like people see the name and then they do that, and then I ask them these questions and they get into like that kind of information,
Right.
and it's like, I don't know, it's just like a charm to it because they're like, I've never said that out loud, or I wasn't gonna
Right.
do that yet.
Well,
Like,
and when you asked me on, like, that's why I kind of love it, because obviously we're not going to have this kind of conversation on our show,
mhm.
because that's not super engaging for our listeners for a regular
I'm-
episode.
I'm
You know.
also way holding back the Bic
Oh yeah, trust me, he's dialed back to about a 3 right now. That's yeah.
I feel like I'm in a straight jacket.
Yeah. We have a disclaimer for a reason.
Right.
And the reason is Bick. So
I will
I'm
say,
impressed with me though.
you're doing great, buddy.
Yeah, I
I've
think
left
you
2
are.
F-bombs.
Yeah.
You're doing a really good job of, again, for the new people who haven't seen or heard your guys' podcast yet. You both are doing a really good job of like portraying what people would expect to see on the podcast. At least I think so, judging from episode 1.
And I mean, that's literally it. I mean, we just want it to feel like people are hanging out with us.
Right.
You know?
Speaking of podcasts and stuff like that, kind of going back to the setup question.
Okay.
Do you have like maybe a vision or idea of like a vision or idea of what you would want the setup to look like? Say you had $1 million.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What would the new setup be like?
Okay, so if we had $1 million, this is exactly what would happen. I'm gonna build onto this garage, add a separate building with a sound studio for us to record.
But we get to keep the table.
Oh yeah, the table's staying.
She's iconic.
That's yeah, exactly. That's like true root stuff, you know. But a soundproof sound studio, and then next to it, I want a room with a pool table and a bar for us to chill out, and we can have like our brainstorming sessions.
Pre-game, post-game,
Yeah,
brainstorm.
Exactly. All of that stuff. Just a place that we have to like hang. They can be comfortable all the time. And obviously, we're making $1 million, then I'm going to quit my regular job, you know,
Right.
and concentrate on making content. And so then, you know, we'd expand into videos and more merchandising and, you know, all of that kind of arena, because I like to entertain people. I was a music major in college. I was a theater minor, and I ended up in medical equipment. So that was a weird path. But yeah, I love entertaining people. So, I mean, if we got to that point, that would be my full time. So,
What about you, Vic? What was your?
If I had $1
setup
million,
look like if you had $1
first
million?
thing would be 2 chicks at the same time.
shout out to Office Space on that quote. That's
I can't hear, like, you just can't hear someone. What would you do if you had $1 million without going to that quote?
Direct quote from Office Space. I love that movie.
Honestly, like, I don't know how much I would change about us. If I had the money, I would try to do some form of advertising to push our name out harder.
Sure.
But we're so infantile right now in our podcast that what would it help?
Yeah, and I mean, we're
You
not
know?
like, I don't see our lifestyles changing.
I don't plan on my lifestyle changing.
Like
I don't plan on
change.
making
no
any money off of I don't plan on ever making any money off the podcast.
no.
I plan on it just being us friends hanging out and having a guest every now
Yeah,
and then.
and if you know what, if a few people donate and it pays for a case of beer, then great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That is a good mentality to have. You I'm sure you guys have seen this too. Numerous amount of like people who make the money and get big, and
Yeah.
they take, and that their ego just goes.
Yeah, they
so
clearly
high.
didn't go for 2 chicks at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Don't shoot for the moon, man.
no, and I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, we're recording in my garage in camping chairs, drinking beer. Like
But they're comfy camping
that's
chairs.
that's the kind
They
of people
comfy.
we
I
are.
agree with you.
These are the best camping chairs.
Yeah,
Like,
and so you know what? If we had $1 million, we would chill out in camping chairs in my garage and drink beer more often.
It would just be
Like that's
it would just be a slightly nicer garage.
Yeah.
With a pool table and a bar.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we get a recliner instead of a camping chair. I don't know.
I don't
That'd
know
be
that I'm
very
going to get rid of Betty here.
These
She's
are
my girl.
I do love these chairs. I'm not gonna lie.
I will admit they are very comfortable.
Yeah.
Again, we're recording this from their setup, not mine. And
Yes.
I don't have a setup particularly, so
Yep. Recording from my garage.
kind of the last question. This one might be more directed towards you,
Okay.
because I mean you could probably chime in too.
Probably
not. Well, it's more so the relating back to you kind of being the host, I guess.
Sure.
And I know you said that there was no build up, but
Not on his end.
Yeah, not on my end.
What exactly do you mean by that?
What,
I
me
guess
and
is
Fuzz
like-
sat down and we
I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know how to put this. Me and Fuzz talked about it. This was a private conversation.
Yeah,
which rarely happens.
I was not involved in this whatsoever.
So you were the host and you weren't even involved in the conversation.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
it very rarely do the three of us communicate when we're not all three talking.
Yeah.
In a group chat, in person, whatever. And I think it might have actually been Fuzz's idea that said it first, but he was like, we got to make Vaughn the host. And I was like, yeah, definitely. And he's like, why? And I was like, well, because Vaughn's like a smooth, easy talker. And Fuzz was like, no, it's because he has the radio voice. And I was like, both these things work. So we voted him in. And then Fuzz was like, you break it to him. So that's when I sent that one text message where I was like, hey, Vaughn, I was thinking, like, why don't you take over the hosting duties? And you never argued.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, you never argued, and
I
it just
guess.
became the thing, like, where you were the host. And second to that was, like, I never want, like, we knew I would never work as the host. Let's be real about it. Like, it's me.
Yeah.
So the only two options
We'd
were
have a
you
very different audience. I know that.
well, very fair, but we knew I wouldn't work as the host. So Fuzz, God bless his soul.
Yeah.
Nope. You didn't win by default. You win by your own talent, but you also won by default.
Yeah, and I mean, it literally, like, it got mentioned once in a group text, and then it just, like,
And you never said no.
and then, like, nothing happened, and then we showed up for episode 1, and we're setting up the equipment and stuff, and they're like, yeah, so, like, you're the host, and I'm like, oh, so that's, like, actually what we're doing. Okay.
So me and you were hauling garbage.
Yeah, we were
Out-
clearing out my
We were
garage.
clearing out the garage, hauling
Yeah.
garbage, and he's writing down our intro because it finally clicked for him. Oh shit! I really have to do this.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, it's literally me.
They're
okay.
not giving me the choice. Oh damn!
Yeah,
I
so-
will admit, because when I watched the first episode,
Yeah.
you had like the little intro and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I legitimately could not recognize that was you. I thought that was a completely different voice.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
And then-
your voice that you
yeah,
do for that.
Yeah, the
Oh,
radio.
yeah,
voice.
like my-
This isn't the first time I've heard this.
Yeah, like
Addie-
my movie preview voice.
Yes.
My
Yes.
oldest,
Yes.
my oldest daughter that knows you.
Yeah.
She said the same thing. Another friend of ours was like, "Well, who did your intro?" And I'm like, "The same person." I'll text you later who it was.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
I'm like, it's the same person that's our host, and they're like, they apparently went back and listened. They're like, oh my god, how did I not know that? And it's like,
to
you,
be fair, I had to
I
double
didn't know
check
that.
it
That's
too.
but
great.
I'm in the
That's-
room with you, so like for me it was, but I do get the sound, like you pitch it differently. And it
Oh yeah,
works.
I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely changed the inflection of my voice on certain things. I mean, that's just,
It helps. It
when-
helps emphasize the point.
Yeah, and when I was figuring out the intro and like just with our logo and stuff, I'm like, I got to do movie preview intro, like that just
On
kind
brand.
of matched,
Yeah.
and I just thought it would be kind of a fun thing.
Join
And
3 friends.
that's right.
That was actually really good. That was really good.
In
Mine
a world.
my movie intro isn't bad, but I hold no candle to Vaughn.
Well, I appreciate that, Vic.
And we
Thank
do
you.
have that. We have one random friend out there still
Yeah.
that does the perfect Morgan Freeman impression.
Oh yes.
And we're gonna bring that person
we have
on.
to.
But when we bring them on, I don't want them to ever actually do their own voice. I
No.
want them just to be Morgan Freeman the
Yes.
whole time they're on our
It's just
show.
so it can seem like you guys are interviewing Morgan Freeman.
Exactly
Yes.
right. That is exactly.
And it'll be like narrated by Morgan Freeman. Be like, yeah, so I went out last night, and I plan on going to bed early, and he'll be like,
Clearly.
well, clearly they didn't go to bed early. They instead got drunk and fought a raccoon. So
So it'd be from like a third person.
yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, most of what I have written down is the same points that we've already went through. So
Cool.
I don't.
we
really
do
have
that
anything
to a
else
lot
more.
of people.
Yeah, we kind of go circles. It's
I mean, it's more content. I'm perfectly fine with it. Do you guys have any last resorting questions, comments, complaints, concerns?
Well, thanks for letting me have you on. Thanks for letting me have you on our show. Other way around. Thanks for
I was
having me
gonna
on
say,
your show.
no, we appreciate it.
Feel free to
It's,
not edit that. I found it hilarious.
Hopefully you people will like your episode with us on there. That's
Yeah, I'll definitely be promoting it. So
Yeah.
Well, we'll throw you on ours. You throw
yeah.
us on
Let
yours.
me know when you post, and we'll toss it on our social media so our listeners can do the same. So we appreciate you having us.
Yes, I'm glad we were able to work this out. I'm not really good at this whole outro thing. I'm still kind of learning that. So, yeah, we'll just probably close it off there. And everyone else, all the audio listeners, have a great rest of your day. And
be good to your bros.
Be good to your
go to
bros.
your bros.